I'm with Father Eugene Alliata from the Terra Sancta Museum near the Via Dolorosa in Jerusalem. Now, what is this museum about?
The museum is firstly about the same place. And by tradition, this was the place where Jesus was condemned to death. And we want to help people coming here to understand the place, to understand the tradition, and to follow with this tradition with the same spirit as previous visitors did along the centuries.
Now, you're right next to the Via Dolorosa. Just explain a little bit about what is the Via Dolorosa.
Via Dolorosa is the way from the place of the judgment of Jesus by Pontius Pilate to the hill of Calvary where Jesus died. So there is a way, a traditional way. It is difficult from historical point to be sure for every step of Jesus, but tradition has kept a memory and we follow them.
So the location where you're at would actually be the place where Jesus was condemned to death?
So historically, this can be discussed like many other things, but we used to follow traditions in the Holy Land everywhere. And the tradition sometimes is very strong, sometimes it is not so, but we follow all the time traditions.
When was the museum started and why was it started?
So the idea to make a museum was before the project of the Via Dolorosa Museum. There is a general desire in people living in the Holy Land to collect memories, to understand the significance of these memories. So Franciscans live in the Holy Land at least 800 years now. So they started to collect memories and to study them. And we had a Franciscan museum in the main monastery of the Franciscan in Jerusalem. And then it was moved to this building in the Via Dolorosa when the Studium Biblicum Franciscanum was founded here. Studium Biblicum Franciscanum means a place to study the Bible and the archaeology of the Holy Land, and is made by mostly by Franciscan professors, and it is at the level of a university, so a very high level, and connected to the school, biblical school. We have a special museum dedicated mostly to the archaeology of the Holy Land. And this is called now the Museum of the Studium Biblicum Franciscanum Archaeological Collections. And in this place we have a big project to explain and to show the activities of the Franciscan archaeologists in the Holy Land along mostly the last 100 years from when the Studium Biblicum was founded. Recently, we did a specialized section of this museum, which is dedicated to the daily life in the time of Jesus, and more ample to the New Testament times, which is a little bit more than the time of Jesus. It comprises also the times of the apostles and the early church. This part was the first to be prepared, and it will be inaugurated soon, in the end of June, and by the custodes of the Holy Land, which is the higher authority among the Franciscans in Jerusalem.
Now you've got many different artifacts here. Where have all these artifacts came from?
The artifacts come from excavations done in very important places in the Holy Land, like Nazareth, Capernaum, Mount of Olives, Herodium. Excavation done by Franciscan archaeologists, and because of that, we have the objects with us. Some of the objects are from the market of antiquities, which is in Jerusalem strong still today. So in the past, when something important was seen, there were attempts to buy or to have gifted, were gifted with these important items, and we will show them in our place. For now, mostly those related to the life of Jesus and the early church.
So these archaeologists that were doing their work have been a real blessing to you, because now you're able to start a museum, aren't you?
Yeah, the museum is very helpful, first of all, for the students of the institution, biblical institution. And then we open also to the general public and to the pilgrims who come to the Holy Land, not only to venerate the places, but also to understand them. And we see archaeology as a beautiful tool, attractive and very helpful for understanding the Bible and the holy books.
What sort of archaeological things do you have here?
We got items belonging to some of the palaces of the kings, like Herod king, who was a king at the time of Jesus. And we got also items from the daily life of the people, like the kitchen, the table, the body care, the purification, the marketplace, the coins, and so on. Everybody, I think, through this object can understand better the daily life in that time.
So not only can you see this archaeological evidence, you can actually walk on the stones, the Roman stones as well here, can't you?
Yes, there are also not only objects, but also the antiquities which are preserved in the same place, because Jerusalem really, it shows part of all its history also here in this place. So you can see Roman antiquities, Byzantine antiquities, medieval antiquities, and you can touch them and walk through them. It is also interesting for that.
As people see all these things, do you think it's going to open up the Bible for them a lot more?
Certainly, the objects are just a way, a mean to make people more interested. But the final aim is to invite people to open the Bible, to read the Bible, and to understand the significance of the teachings which are in the Bible, teaching which are very good, very helpful for the life of the person. The person who has faith, he will live a life more tense, more inside the will of God.
Is it important for the local community, the local Christians, to see this and be involved with this as well?
Local people will be also very much interested, and we saw them in local people visiting the section we have already opened. And local people, there are Christians and not Christians, because our society is very mixed. But all of them, sometimes they visit and they can appreciate Christian life, and the life in the time of Jesus is part of the life of the country where they live. So they will like to see also this in full.
You're just about to open up phase 2 of the museum, and then you're going to be doing a phase 3. When does phase 2 open, and what are you going to be doing in phase 3?
Phase 2 of our museum, SBF Archaeological Collections, this will be opened in the end of June, and there will be a next phase, very important, with excavations in many holy places, in Nazareth, Capernaum, all the Sepulchre, Mount of Olives, Bethany, all very important places where Franciscan archaeologists did excavations. And this will be shown in the third phase, which is still in preparation.
You've been here for 40 years. What's it like for you living here in Jerusalem?
To be in Jerusalem, I think, is a special grace. So many people would like to have this experience, and I'm glad that I had actually this experience and this possibility from my young day today.
What's your prayer, finally, for the museum?
My prayer for the museum is that the museum will be useful to people, because this will bring to people some more hope, more understanding of the teachings of Jesus.
Okay, Father Alliata, thank you very much.